Hello, I'm Taha. Can't stop me on YouTube and Twitter and all that. I haven't done anything. Welcome to the Ethnicity and Diversity Online panel. Here are our panelists. We'll just go down the line and introduce yourselves, I guess.
My name is Skoladondo, and I make health and fitness videos, and yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Nathan Zed. I make comedy vlogs when I can. Thank you.
When he can.
Hey guys, I'm Eman Kellum. I make different kinds of videos, so I make skits, interviews with celebrities, teaching them about paintings, and yeah, I do different stuff. So that's me. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jana, and I have two different YouTube channels. One I vlog in Arabic, and the other one I vlog in English. That's it.
My name's Sully Breaks, and I write poems, and then we visualize them and put the videos on YouTube. So yeah, just poetry videos.
So to begin with, I'm just going to talk about how, so I'm the moderator, and when I was thinking about the questions to this, it was quite difficult to kind of figure out how to tackle a lot of these issues because they're quite controversial or touchy subjects. So the first question is essentially, why do you think it's so hard, or what are the difficulties that you guys find when you kind of touch on these topics to do with ethnicity or diversity or essentially ethnicity and diversity online, and what are your reservations when it comes to that?
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there was a point where I was just trying to talk about it. There was a point where I was just realizing a lot of these things, and I had no outlet, so I was using Twitter and stuff. And my problem was I was just preaching about it. When I say I have no outlet, I mean I had no other people in my life to talk about it, so I needed to get it out of my head. And I took a preachy way of doing it where people get they just shut down when you try to come at them in an angry way. So what I've tried to do is use comedy and satire to talk about issues concerning these things, and it's just worked out way better because when you use comedy or satire, they laugh, people laugh, and then they start thinking about it. So it's just a much better alternative. And did you guys hear me? I don't know if you heard me. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of this next time.
I think the biggest thing that I probably encounter when you do want to talk about issues related to your ethnicity, I guess, is you don't want to fall into that category of being the one conscious representative for your whole race or your whole background, because people can often see a video and make the assumption that you're putting yourself on a pedestal as the ambassador for your race, as opposed to you're just stating an opinion which you've garnered out of a result of all the different interactions you've had. So I think that's the biggest challenge, making sure that people know that whatever you're saying is purely subjective in your interpretation of a situation, as opposed to yeah, I'm talking for every single black person or every single ethnic person that's in the world.
For me, I think the challenge is when you're making videos that are targeted, that are about your race or where you're from, sometimes it can be hard for other people to relate to that. And so what ends up happening is that you sort of put yourself in a box where your audience is primarily made up of Arabs or whatever. And obviously on YouTube you want to sort of reach loads of different audiences, so it's kind of challenging to talk about those issues and not put yourself in a box, I guess.
Yeah, Sully kind of took the words out of my mouth for that one. Sometimes you don't just want to be seen as the person who's just trying to put on, be the ambassador, because it can, yeah. So Sully covered my thoughts on that.
It's cool, you can have that. It's cool.
Copyright. Scholar, do you have anything to say?
Everyone already said everything, so
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree with everyone else. Yeah.
So we've kind of established what's kind of difficult about it, but what's the point? Why do we need diversity? It's kind of something that isn't necessarily defined. Everyone kind of thinks we need diversity, but what do you think, in your opinion, is the biggest sort of reason for it? Sorry.
I think that at the moment around the world, we only really see what's going on based on what the media shows us, and obviously they're trying to get people to watch the news, and so they're going to make it really dramatic, and they're going to tell you the most dramatic things that are happening in every country, and so people that don't have access to people from other cultures or aren't in direct contact with them will just automatically assume that that's exactly what it's like in those countries. I think it's, and just even that those are what those cultures are like. I think it's important for us to be able to relate to each other so that we can actually feel like we're all human instead of like not thinking about like suffering that's happening or wars that are happening because all we see are statistics in the news. Like once you know someone from that culture personally and someone that you respect and that you really love, at that point you start to feel like they are human too, and you start to care, and that's really important for everyone in the world to be able to relate to each other on that level.
Yeah, you guys keep taking the words out of my mouth, so I look really bad, but I will be back with the next question. Stop saying everything I'm thinking, dude.
Sorry, you go fast next time.
You want to go, Nate? Yeah, you go.
Okay, well, I hope you didn't just say this. It got kind of loud back here, and I missed the last part. I was just going to say, like, how representation is just very important. And it's just, like, it's good to, like, for example, on a TV show or something, it's just nice to show, like, how the world really is, which is, it's a diverse place. Like, right just here, it's, like, not only, like, one type of culture or race, like, just the world in general. Like, it's great when there's, like a melting pot. And it's just representation is great. Like, for example, like my little sister, I remember when she was a kid, she wanted to dress up as like a Disney princess, and then her friends were telling her like she can't because there were no like dark-skinned Disney princesses, and they finally had one. I mean, she would have to still dress up as like a frog half the time, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so just like for children and for adults, and just like being able to see what the world really is just a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's just really important as well because there are so many stereotypes out there that sometimes you don't know who you even are. Like me growing up, all I had was what I saw on TV. So I always had my friends telling me, well, I grew up in a really white area, so I always had my friends telling me like, you're not black enough, or you know, you don't speak black and you don't act black, which is really bad, but it's because the only representation they had of a black person was the stereotype, and that just wasn't me. So it's really nice to have that diversity and representation, especially on YouTube, because you get to see so many different types of people. You realize you don't have to box yourself into being this one stereotype. You can be whoever you want to be. So I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I feel like diversity enriches any culture. I live by a philosophy that we are all not the same, but we all should be treated equal. Where's that music come from? Okay, sorry. I live by a philosophy we're not all the same, which is a reality, but we should all be equal. And on that basis, I feel like we enrich each other by expressing each other's diversity and merging. If you look at the rainbow, like one of the most beautiful combination of colors of the spectrum, it wouldn't be the same if it was just one way throughout the entirety of it. So I think diversity does really help to highlight the beauty we have, not just as individuals, but as a human race in its entirety.
That's how you know this dude's a poet.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, someone drop a beat. So do you guys, so like, I know that when I was growing up on YouTube, like when I was watching different creators, I really latched onto the ones that I could relate to. And for me, that was the Asian creators that were coming up, like Ryan Higa and things. Do you think that having more diversity will encourage a whole new generation of minorities to get into YouTube? And do you think that there's sort of like a barrier there? Or like people of different ethnic minorities are discouraged because they don't see people like them doing it already.
Can I say something? Cool, sweet. You're not gonna steal it this time. Okay, like I think to an extent, yeah. Like I come from like South London, and like down there, like YouTube is kind of like foreign to a lot of the kids down there. Like some of the kids watch me, yeah, but like they're like, nah, I wouldn't do that. Like some people just think YouTube's kind of nerdy. Like a lot of people that are like from like ethnic minority backgrounds or from where I'm from, like they'd watch YouTube, but they wouldn't do it because they feel like it's kind of not for them, because like they see me and then they look at certain creators, or they see like a lot of the UK creators that are in like the limelight, they see them and they're like, E-man, you know you're like one of the only black dudes out here that are vloggers in the UK that are on like a pedestal, right? And I'm like, damn, like that is kind of true. Like, I only start to realize that, and it kind of puts them off. But there's a lot of young kids where I'm from as well that don't really care, and like they're trying to get into it now. And I'm gonna try my hardest to push them out, because like we need to push for diversity, man. Like, that's scary. Like, being one of the only vloggers, like black vloggers from the UK, that's actually making it to events like these. It's kind of scary, but. Yeah, I think it's important that we encourage the next gen to come through and do their thing. So yeah.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think the whole, like at the beginning of YouTube, there was like an amazing Asian American presence.
Yeah.
Like all the biggest YouTubers were Asian American, and it was great to see, because in Hollywood it's just like not there.
Exactly.
Like Hollywood just does not, like barely cast Asian Americans. So in my case, there were like no Ethiopian YouTubers that I really saw that were like big. The only really big Ethiopian in general is like The Weeknd, like in the mainstream. So I'm just trying to be the person that I would have liked to see, like a YouTuber that I would like to see when I was growing up, because just somebody that was like really proud of their culture. Like, I just recently became more proud of my Ethiopian culture and heritage, and that would have been so like I could have learned that way earlier, and it would have been great and more beneficial to my childhood if I saw that in somebody else that I admired.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think it is like a just cold factor reality that realistically we all just relate easier to people who we can identify with. And when you do see someone you can identify with on a certain platform, it's not just saying it inspires you to do it, but to an extent it makes you more comfortable and it makes you more familiar with the surroundings, and you're like, okay, there's an opportunity for me to go into it. It's kind of like if you see your friend doing something, and when your friends do something amazing, you kind of feel incentivized that, oh, I can do it because we all came from the same place. So I think it is a constant battle between what society portrays as the stereotypes and what you should be doing, and what you see people from your demographic doing, and how you can kind of like leverage that and get into that same space. I think it's just human nature to see people that look like us and be like, oh shit, he's like me, maybe I can do it as well.
I think there is a misconception at the moment that everyone who watches YouTube is white, because it might have been the case like 2 or 3 years ago, but at the moment it really isn't. The UK and US market, the YouTube audience, isn't really growing. It's like sort of hit a plateau, whereas in like international markets, so like in the Arab world, in Africa, in Asia, people are watching more and more YouTube. So I would say don't be discouraged if you're from an ethnic minority and you're planning to make videos and think that I have to reach only these like a white audience or try to relate to a white audience, because that's really not the case. I mean, I started an Arabic channel 4 months ago and I hit 80,000 subscribers yesterday. So it's like, it's really, really growing. So I would really encourage you to try something new like that, because there is a demand for it. There's a lot higher demand for it, and at the moment it's not being filled yet. So.
Yeah, just what she was saying. One of my most popular and most viewed videos are my Afrobeat workouts, because that's where I actually embrace my culture and show something different. So yeah, definitely, I think it's so important to do something different and not be scared and not think people won't get it or won't understand it, because I think people really want to see something different and people want to see something new and fun. So yeah.
So just like going from that, I'm going to put the question back to you of just when you're kind of integrating your culture into your videos. Do you ever feel wary, especially if you've got a majority of your audience who aren't from that culture, of like how they're going to receive it, if they're going to take some misconceptions from it, or do you ever feel like you have to kind of explain the context of your culture to them, or like to try and control how they perceive it, rather than what basically I'm saying is that, do you ever feel cautious about trying to portray your culture, because anything you do can get misinterpreted, and you feel this pressure with the lack of the diversity that Iman was talking about. Like, you're one of the only few, so you've got to kind of do a fairly good job. There's not really much room to mess up. Do you ever feel that pressure?
A little bit, yeah, because you realize you're one of the only people on this big platform that people are going to see doing this. So you have to really you feel a bit of pressure to kind of do it as best as you can, because you don't want to create another stereotype as well. Like, that's another thing you have to be really careful of, that you don't want to do something that people just assume that, oh, so like everyone does that and everyone from your race or ethnicity is the same and does exactly what you're doing. So I think, yeah.
But does it discourage you, like, or anyone on the panel?
Not really. I think for me personally, I feel like it's just so important that you just kind of want to do it no matter what, and just hope that everyone receives it really well. So, yeah.
What do you guys reckon?
What was the question, sir?
So, like, when you're trying to, portray something that isn't necessarily the mainstream culture, do you ever feel discouraged because you have a pressure of representing your culture in the most positive light or in the most accurate way?
I think most definitely there's an aspect of that. I think it's kind of like in a general kind of like human context as well. Like, my wife, when she used to go to work, she used to bring like food from like African food, and obviously if you're not used to it, it kind of smells, you know what I mean? So she used to feel like she had to explain to her work colleagues that, yo, it's nice even though it may smell kind of different to you, and I feel that's kind of a microcosm of what would happen on YouTube as well. You sometimes feel like, yo, I might need to make people know that, but if you're hungry, you're going to eat the food regardless, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's that pressure. It's a general human interaction which manifests itself online anyway, and then it's down to the person to decide whether you're going to adhere to like having to conform to that, or whether you're going to say what you want to say and explain it later. But I think it's assessed on an individual basis.
Yeah, the point that I really try to drive home is that there's no singular like black thought, there's no singular black voice, there's no singular white thought, white voice, anything. Everybody has their own like view. So the fact that I'm like here saying what I think right now, this is what I think. So I hate when people, like I said in a video that some dude commented after I tweeted something, he was like, I cannot believe you tweet this as an ambassador of the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm like, yo, I'm just tweeting, dog. Like, I'm just like, I'm not even thinking about things like that. As like being like a figure, and that's not what I want to do at all. So it's just trying to make sure that people know that you are one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree as well. Like, I try my hardest to make my content work for everyone. Like, I have like a lot of my audience is a mixture of different people. So I have people that watch me that are in Africa. I have like white guys that watch me and white kids that watch me, and I try my hardest to like introduce my culture and where I'm from in the UK as well into it. So I'll try to incorporate like slang and stuff. So I try my hardest to cater to everyone and also kind of educate without stereotyping, because I think that's a big problem. I'm a Nigerian creator, so I think that's a big problem within like the YouTube community in terms of like stereotypes. A lot of people play their stereotypes, and I really hate it. They play their stereotypes because people that are kind of ignorant and don't really know about it, they're like, ha ha ha, black guy, chickens, much fun, so fun, watermelon, ha ha ha, so funny, laugh, laugh, laugh. Yeah, like, a lot of people play to the stereotype.
Just moving on from the stereotypes thing, like it's something that's like I was going to touch on is that, like, do you think there's any room for using your stereotypes to your advantage? Do you think that's harmful in the long run? Like you see a lot of successful creators, and in fact, I was watching a video by a creator who was saying that one of the only ways that the huge creators stay on top of their game is by exploiting their stereotypes and commodifying them to kind of reach the biggest audience. So they mention things like Glozell, who like uses stereotypes comedically, and it gives her the edge because no one else can basically do that in the market.
Bro, it's terrible on Vine, bro.
It's terrible on Vine.
It's terrible on Vine. Yeah, like there was this one Viner that had a whole game that was like Flappy Bird, where it's like his head, and then you move it and you try to catch the watermelon. I was like, yo, like this is doing the most. And those jokes, like all those stereotypes and stuff, they're literally jokes that are like 100 years old. Yeah. So it's not funny. All right. It's been done. Let's like try doing other things. Like I don't think that I would be proud of like, if you really want to be like a comedian or an entertainer, like just you should be able to think of better content.
Right.
Just like not even on like a racial level, just like a technical level, but also it's just harmful on like a racial level. Like people are still gonna, like you said, like if they don't have much exposure to like more people, and if that's like the one thing, it's just like, yeah, that's what everybody is like. So.
Yeah, I think it's harmful in the sense that if, like you said, if they are not exposed to a lot of people in that culture, what ends up happening is that when they watch our videos, they think that we 100% will adhere to all of those stereotypes, or the fact like that our culture is like so ingrained in our identities that every day we go on and on and on about it, but that's not really true. Like we don't spend our whole day talking about race and culture. Like obviously it's a very big part of who we are, but we've got a lot of different things about us that we want to show people. We don't want to just like every day make a video about being ethnic or being, you know what I mean? Like we want to show what we can do regardless of our ethnicity, but also show other people who are also from those ethnicities that they are also capable of doing that. So
yeah, most definitely. I feel like there is a room to play on the stereotypes, but I think it should be done in a tasteful sense, in a sense where there's an educational kind of overriding messages as to why you're playing on the stereotype, as opposed to just putting it out there because people will laugh at it, and as a result of that you get more views and more traction. I think there's a thin line between it, because a lot of great comedians have done it really well, and I think but online there is still that balance that needs to be struck.
So in terms of, like, we're all on the panel and we're talking about these type of things, and we've all at some point on our YouTube talked about these type of things. Are you ever wary that talking about these type of things kind of puts you in a box of becoming like the professional minority, like, oh, he's the guy who talks about it. So
this is my 4th panel about this.
Exactly.
This topic. So
like, how do you feel about, like, you want to talk about it because it's important and there's no one else talking about it, but at the same time you don't want to be that guy. That's not your brand. You are more than just your skin tone or your ethnicity.
Yeah. I made a video, like how I just said, like there's no singular black voice. I don't want to be like that figure. And YouTube saw that video, a lot of people that work for YouTube, and they were like, yeah, we really like that video. I was like, oh, thank you. And they're like, how would you like to come to the Democratic National Convention? I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And it turns out I was the one black guy they invited. I was like, yo, you guys just like literally did what I said I didn't like. But I mean, it was a great experience. But like at this point, I feel like I'm a good choice to talk about these things, and as long as like I'm a good choice, I want to be able to express my views. There's not many options at the point, so I feel like I have to. I also like it. Like I feel like just embracing your culture and your ethnicity and just who you are in general is a very important thing, and the fact that anything I could do to help people with that is that's just great for my life. I don't know. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, man. There's times I feel the type of way. I feel like if I speak up about, there's times I've addressed this on Snapchat. So if anyone on here has me on Snapchat, I've spoken about it briefly, or I've spoken about, what'd you say?
Promo.
Promo. Oh yeah. Eman Kellum. Add me. But yeah. I've spoken about it a bit. Like sometimes I feel the type of way. Like I feel like I'm actually saying this. I feel like sometimes I get pushed to the side or swept under the carpet because I'm not your mainstream ukulele music vlogger with a fringe and a
What's up, YouTube?
Hey guys, jump cut. Hi, jump cut. Hey, buy this. It's like one of those Japanese ads, but you know what I'm saying? Like, oh wow, with applause. Sweet, awesome. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I have to be careful because you don't want to get swept under the carpet. Like already as it is, like, us lot on this panel, plus like maybe 3 or 4 creators, are the only black guys at this convention, and this issue is a touchy subject to talk to with people because some of the vloggers here, they've probably never had to deal with that because they come from backgrounds or the middle class backgrounds where everything was handed to them. Probably mummy and daddy bought them the camera. And sorry, I'm not trying to fire shots, but I'm just talking what's on my mind because I'm really passionate.
You kind of get the picture of kind of like. People don't really understand the disadvantages that you can get.
Yeah.
And so
to be honest, though, I think that that's something that I think we can play to our advantage, because I feel like we've got a unique perspective and a unique opinion to share on things rather than just generic, like, have had a really easy life and my mom bought me this camera and now I have 3 million subscribers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, we've got more to offer than that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. A lot of us have different interesting stories coming from different places. A lot of us have seen different struggles. Like one of the things, I don't want to like go deep into like my personal stuff, but one of the reasons I started YouTube is because I lost a friend to knife crime in 2012. So it was one of the things that pushed me into it, because before he died, I told him I was going to go into it. And he said that, like, even though he's like, it's not common, people are going to be like, yo, dude, you're kind of nerdy, but do it, and do it like murk it, do it like really good, you know? And it's one of the things that pushes me, you know, and sorry, I keep saying, you know, but, you know, like, I think we have so many different unique stories that are just waiting to be heard, but due to the fact there's so little of us, we kind of get pushed to the side or swept under, and it's kind of segregated, and it sucks. And I just wish that people listen to us more, you know. And like,
you're on the panel though.
That's why we got this.
That's why we got this panel, hey, and people are in here, hey, awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Man, I think everyone's got an interesting story to share of where they come from, and
so your diversity is kind of also an advantage if people want to listen to that, because you have a completely different perspective from, you know, the generic vloggers that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So like it is kind of, it's good and bad, because you might be swept under the rug, but you know, when people listen, it might be something different.
Yeah, but I think in general it is quite daunting. Like, obviously there is like the advantage of being different is good, because no one else can do what you do. But at the same time, when you walk into the green room and there's like 2 people that aren't white, it's still intimidating, even because, I mean, growing up in West London, it's not even something that I'm used to. So it's something that does dawn on you when you're in that space, like, oh wait, okay, I am definitely a minority here, and people can find it hard to relate to you, and maybe that makes it harder for you to get into like friendship circles in YouTube and like collaborate with other YouTubers, just because of that barrier. Even though it's not a conscious thing, like people aren't going to be like, oh, I'm not going to collab with her because she's not white. Like, obviously that's not what I'm implying. But it does, sorry, but it does, I think it does play a part. Like, it does sort of have a gap.
I was going to feed off that on the subject of collaboration. Like, it was crazy because me and Nathan have actually filmed a collab that's coming out soon. Very soon, yeah. And we filmed it literally today, and like I met Nathan and we clicked straight away, and I'm not sure what it was. We just had a certain like chemistry, and we just like, it was fun.
Did you fall in love with me?
You know, like I didn't.
I didn't get invited to collab.
I'd love to collab as well, dude. Like, I love your stuff as well.
All right, stop with the networking. Let's get back to diversity.
Yeah, but like, so it's the thing I was gonna say as well, just to finish it off. Like I even collabed with a guy called Unger. He's a German YouTuber, like, and we met at an event, and like he spoke English but not as good, and like people kind of pushed him to the side, and we clicked as well when we just like, he's a white guy as well, he's a white German guy, and like he was so cool, and I taught him British slang as well, and we both made videos on our channels, and he loved it. And I just think people need to be more welcoming, you know, like be welcoming to different, like just stop thinking, okay, because I wear a baseball cap, right, don't think I'm gonna take your phone, like dude, like it's happened at like parties and stuff, man. Like I've been to okay, I'm not trying to fire shots, but I'm just here to be real, because we're gonna just get it out of the way. Like I've been to YouTube like parties, right, and I've sat down and I've got people clutching on their bags, and like, dude, like if I was gonna take your phone, clutching your bag's not gonna make a difference. I'm still gonna take it. Like not reinforcing stereotypes or anything, you know what I'm saying? But like I'm just trying to be real out here, you know. Sorry for the croakiness as well.
I've got a question for Scholar. So I know from watching your videos that you grew up in a very white environment, and so did I. And so it's something that I've grown up with, being you know, the minority. But even with that, when I walk into the green room, I still feel that intense sort of like, whoa, that it is very like white. There's not a lot of minorities here. Do you feel that on YouTube, or do you feel it's kind of the same as the rest of sort of like the way you grew up?
I think it's just a shock, because even though I did grow up in an all-white area and that's what I'm used to, and like I don't even notice it anymore, it is like when I do come here, I'm expecting to see different types of people, because it's like, you know, it's meant to be the world, internet, right? It's meant to be the world, and you expect to see everything, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then it's just like the same kind of people over and over again, which is fine. It's not saying like there can't be those people, but it's just really bizarre. It's weird. It's like, why isn't there more like different people? Why is it just all the same people? And it's awkward and it's weird, and you do feel a little bit different. Like when like everyone's saying, when you walk into the green room, you're just a bit like, what's up? What's going on?
Oh shit, not again.
Yeah, and like it's really weird, because you do kind of always gravitate to the other people of color that are in the room. I don't know why, but like you'll walk in and I don't know why, but you'll just find yourself in a group of other people of color and then you're kind of segregated, and I don't know why it happens. It's just so bizarre because. And
I think you see that on like on a wider scale. You see that as on YouTube as well, where you do see like friendship groups emerge, and they will be racially or like ethnically segregated. And I think Lucy made a really good video on. She said, "Hey, she."
Wait, Lucy's in the house. Everybody say hey to Lucy. Hey, Lucy. Wait.
She kind of touched on it where she was like, well, you know, the YouTube circles that I'm in are very white. Why is that? And I think the way that Lucy phrased it was, why is YouTube so white? Because the YouTube that she knew was white. Whereas for me, being a Muslim, I kind of, you know, I watch the Muslim YouTubers as well. And so I'm like, YouTube isn't necessarily white. It's just what you see because. So,
can we tell the story about your name?
No, that's too deep. So you put me in a spot there. So I was wondering whether you thought that there was a conscious thing, or whether you think that how are we going to kind of like merge those sort of like divides, because it is something that's ingrained in sort of just us as social people. Like we find people who we are similar to, and it isn't necessarily helpful for like mixing. And
I mean, like there isn't anything wrong with that on the surface, because like obviously we all, like you were saying, we all just relate to people who are similar to us, and that's very, very natural. But at the same time, like it's interesting to learn about other cultures, and it's something that you should be encouraged to do. So obviously there's nothing wrong with watching other white YouTubers because you're white, that like you shouldn't feel bad about that. But I think going out and looking for other YouTubers that might be different, and you might learn something new from their cultures. They've got something to offer, they've got something to teach you. And then you also realize that they aren't that different. At the end of the day, you can still relate to them. Like in my Arabic vlogs, I don't like to talk about religion or politics because that's something that's always touched on in the media. I think there's enough noise about that. I think I just like to show what my life is like, and you can be from anywhere in the world and you can watch my videos and you can still relate to me, because I think just because I've got a very specific ethnic background doesn't mean that you can't relate to me. And then there's a lot of people who, because I put English subtitles on them, and a lot of people who don't even speak Arabic that enjoy watching them, so it's not necessarily like something that has to be a barrier. It's just you've got to want to learn about other cultures and want to be a little bit more open-minded to other people.
Is it not just, sorry, just to cut you off for a sec, is it not that it's kind of difficult? Like, you know, when you go to YouTube, you want to just kind of relax and like, you know, challenge yourself to like do that. Do you think that that's kind of like a difficulty that people need to kind of overcome?
And who?
As in like, you know, you have to, so like me, when I'm watching an Arabic vlog, I have to read the subtitles.
Yeah.
You know, or like, even if there aren't subtitles, it's like I need to kind of like be switched on to understand this culture that I'm not familiar with.
It's something different, isn't it? It's like you're so used to seeing the same things. Like we've been watching YouTube and doing YouTube for so long that when something comes along with in a different language with English subtitles, I think people find it a little bit more interesting, and even people who are interested in the culture or in the language start to pick up some of the words. I think they like that, being attached to that culture in some way, even if they aren't like fully ingrained in it. So I think actually it's good on YouTube. The way YouTube is now in 2016 is good to do something different, especially with diversity. It's like even not just for society, but even for like the numbers. So I don't think it's that much of a hindrance.
Yeah, and back to the first question you asked, I think, bruv, I just think it's important for us to identify like who are we blaming for this like disparity or this unrepresentation? Are we blaming YouTube as an infrastructure? Are we blaming the audience? Or are we blaming ourselves as the creators? Because what we need to acknowledge that YouTube is only ever going to be like reflective of society. So I can live in my own pocket in London and be like, I'm surrounded by all people that look like me, but outside the UK is not representative of that. So YouTube is only going to reflect that. And I think the only change will come as a result of discussions like this. You know, I mean, I think we can only ever do what we can as individuals. And I just know that as a creator, all I can do is be as real as possible to myself, and hopefully that enlightens people as to what they think of ethnic creators. And then it will create like a wider conversation and hopefully a wider change.
So like to link to that, like on a practical level, I had a conversation with someone who was saying that there were people who were kind of had reservations about coming to this panel because they felt like this wasn't a discussion that they could engage in or they felt uncomfortable being here. So how do you think that we, us as creators, but also just creators in general, could help in having their audiences engage with those type of discussions or get involved and like be interested in this?
I think we need to make it clear that even though we are from ethnic minority backgrounds, we're not just trying to appeal to the people from our ethnic minority backgrounds. Like, loads of different people watch us, and we'd like to welcome you to hear our voices, and we'd like to hear some of your questions as well. Like, we're not trying to shout, oh yeah, it's so white in here, yeah, don't come to the panel. Just black people. Like, we're not trying to do that. Like, we're trying to get our voices out there, and we're trying to hear what you lots, sorry, I'm just talking rubbish, but we want to know what you guys think as well. Like, we just want to let you guys.
Yeah, if we just only talk amongst ourselves, if we're not like trying to have, we need everybody to like speak together and have the discussion, or else like there's not going to be any real change. Yeah. So
I think creators need to be more honest. Like I think Nathan's a sick vlogger, and I feel like that's what appeals about him and what appeals. I said sick, right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I think you're sick, bruv. Yeah. But I think what appeals about that is that when I watch his videos, I don't feel there's any pretense. I feel like it's very authentic and it's very honest. And I think the more honest we are with ourselves, the more the audience will relate to that, and the more comfortable the audience start to feel because if you were someone else, they would expect everyone else from that demographic to be like that. But when you're yourself, then they start to feel more comfortable with people from your demographic who are just being honest and just being themselves. And I think that is important. What we need to take the responsibility as creators, even before we blame the audience or we blame YouTube, to really be authentic to who we are and own it.
So this is the final question that I have before we throw it to questions from the audience, is that what do you think that us as a community, so the wider YouTube community, our creators, our audiences, like what can we do together to kind of like push this not only discussion forward but make some progress in this sort of like section of like diversity, and what can we, like when we come back, Summer in the City 2017, like I hope that we're in a completely different position. We're asking different questions about how we can move forward from where we are in 2017. So how can we get to somewhere that's more forward?
Tying in off what Sully said, I think we need to be honest and we need to get the conversation going, whether that's making a video about it in the right way and just talking about it in general, like and what Nathan said as well. We just need to talk, like just talking about it and making people aware that stuff like this is going on is one of the starting points for change, you know? Like, yeah, fight the power, yeah, change. But yeah, like it's just getting it out there and making people aware of what's going on completely would just, I think that would make it much more, and getting more diverse creators into SitC as it is as well. Like if we have more diverse creators as well having the conversation, I think that would, next year will be a completely different story.
I also think that people shouldn't, even if you're not from an ethnic minority, you shouldn't feel like you don't have the right to speak about it or to ask questions or to be curious or to learn something from other cultures. Like it's okay to not know every single thing about people's cultures. It's okay to ask a question that you might think it sounds a bit silly, because that's the only way that we're going to get to that point. But if you're too afraid to sort of, like obviously your intentions are probably good, but if you're afraid to sort of be more open-minded and sort of ask questions, then it's never really going to happen. So you just got to sort of let yourself come into the community without feeling like you don't belong there, sort of thing.
Yeah, ask us. We don't bite, you know.
Yeah, and like if you're a white person in the audience right now and you came to this panel, that like shows that you're willing to listen, which is like a big step. Like a lot of people aren't willing to listen, and once you're willing to listen, we're able to work together. Yeah. So I feel like this is a great thing that everyone's here right now.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to add. I feel like it's incremental change, and you said like, I was speaking before, you said last year there was 40 people at this panel, and this year there's like this many more people. So I think it is that incremental change, and it's happening. It's just not being afraid, and people sitting here not being afraid to come to the conversation, and people not being afraid to deliver what they think, and I think that's where the growth happens ultimately.
Scholar, do you have anything to say?
Well, guys, you said everything, so I haven't got anything to say, but yeah, just like everyone was saying, just it's about talking about it, and like even last year, there's like so many more people in here than, what did I
So
say?
many
So many
less.
more less, there was less.
There are more people on like in this room than there were yesterday. Oh my gosh,
last year,
my
yeah, you
brain
got
is not working. I think you get what I mean. There are more people this year than there were last year, and that's just really good because I think in the last year, I think we started talking about these issues a lot more, not just online but offline as well, with like Black Lives Matter and all of that kind of stuff going on. I think we're all starting to have a conversation about like deep-rooted like race issues that people didn't really know about and didn't realize that were going on. And it's just, I think, yeah, if we just keep talking about it, everyone keep like the conversation going, then I think that will really make a change, because I think it already has, because I'm just seeing a lot more people talking about it that aren't like necessarily from an ethnic minority as well, so that's cool.
I really like the video you did on that, by the way, the All Lives Matter one. Kind of you played on it, but I think it was dope. Like, I really liked it, by the way.
Thank you.
Before we throw out to questions, I'm just going to end with a thought from myself. I know it's breaking the moderator mold, but like, you don't necessarily have to be afraid to be racist if you don't know what you're like. If you can't put yourself out there and be like, I don't understand what's going on, but this might be slightly racist, but I'm just asking this question to you. Like, a lot of the time, people are afraid of asking questions that might be slightly controversial because they think that everyone's going to jump on them and be like, you're racist. But like, just chill. Like, we're not gonna. We know that you come from a good place. Usually, like, if you're gonna come up to us and like be like, I hate you because you're brown, then like we'll be like, yeah, you're probably racist. But like, if you're like, yo, like, what is this about? Like, this is a bit. I don't really understand it. We'll be like, oh, cool. We'll just like, you can explain it, or like, just it's more like not being afraid to just put yourself out there if you don't know something. Questions? Oh,
Loads of hands, so many hands.
Jazz is jumping, so you've got to...
Jazz, why have you stopped jumping?
Oh, bloody hell. Okay, sorry. So I'm the panels coordinator here, and I had a surprising number of people from a white background ask to be on this panel. Could I have justified having a white voice up there on stage, especially after the acceptance that you guys seem to have towards people of the ethnic majority coming here and having these conversations?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate, you know, because it would be good to see what someone on the other side. We're good. That sounded so bad. I'm so sorry, but it would be so good to hear what their opinions are on it, because some people that aren't ethnic minorities might not even know these issues are going on, and it would be good to hear what they have to say as well about what's going on. So
I think it might actually drive a discussion that's more sort of rich, because they might have these questions that we all kind of know already the answers to, so we never address them at all. But if someone who maybe is from the ethnic majority comes on and they might ask the questions of like...
But at the same time, I also think that like this is a really great opportunity for people who are ethnically diverse to have a voice. And I think it would be kind of like, I mean, yeah, it would be nice to hear what other people think about an issue. Like when they look at it from the outside, they will definitely have a different perspective that will add to the conversation. But I also think it's difficult because you don't want to exclude someone from an ethnic minority that really has something to say.
Right, it's true.
That's what I was about to say. Like, there's only so many spots here. Like, there would be one person that like should be on the panel.
Could essentially get on any panel anyway.
Yeah.
And
Because
I mean,
like they would. Yeah.
Well, no, finish with
There's pros and cons of that.
I mean, ultimately, it's a diversity panel, innit? And I mean, if we was in Africa, a white person would be the minority, innit? So I guess there's an argument for both sides of it.
So in the end, you know, maybe. Another
maybe.
question? Let's see. There's the guy who's waving, or the girl, I can't see because there's just lights. Yep, that one. Yeah. I can just, yeah, sorry.
Good job,
Hello.
Tom.
My name is Laura. I'm a French Caribbean, and I do daily vlogs, and my family and my community don't really understand what it means. So I know there are a couple of vloggers or YouTubers that they have communities that don't really understand. How do you educate your community to what you're doing? Because it feels white. So how do you educate your community?
So is your question that because you're a French vlogger, your community doesn't really understand what YouTube is?
When I do a vlog, literally in French, like, what are you doing?
People don't know what it is.
Yes, and they think that it's stupid or it's silly or whatever.
I think for me, being a Saudi vlogger, I think I'm probably one of like the first like 50 Saudi vloggers that people actually watch, and so to do YouTube in Saudi is a very new thing. And that means that a lot of people still don't understand it, and there's a lot of hate towards YouTubers because obviously it's something new, and like as a female to put myself out there is something very taboo in the culture. But I think the way I always see it is that if I get 500 dislikes on this video, the next Saudi female to make a video might get 200 dislikes, and then after that it'll be more normalized. So I think instead of like, just don't be afraid to be the first person to do something, and just be aware that people won't understand it in the beginning, but that gives you an opportunity to teach people, and then also gives you an opportunity to make it easier for everyone else to do.
You're a pioneer. You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're fighting the good fight. Another question, or does anyone else have a... Should we go for a question? Oh, I see a hand in like the fourth row. The one who just pointed at themselves. Yeah, there you go.
How close? Oh, do you ever feel like other creators, like white creators, try and take you into their circles, or like collaborate you because you're not white, like to widen their circles and make themselves look a bit better, if you know what I mean?
So like, if you have like a completely ethnic demographic and they're like, yo, we can get in on this.
Yeah.
Oh, black people. No.
Does anyone have a thought on that?
Not in my...
No, I wish.
Sometimes I do get it, because I do have a different demographic, especially when it comes to fitness. I have quite a large audience in Africa, and like there's a lot of people who are looking for fitness in Africa, obviously, because it's not like they can go to a gym. Like, it's not like a big thing there like it is in the West. So I do find sometimes that there will be some like Western creators who want to get in on that, and because I do something so unique, which is like the Afrobeat workouts, we're like, oh, I want to do it too, to kind of tap into that, which is, I think it's like both good and bad. It's like good because it means it's going to open up that kind of thing to people who wouldn't have seen it before, and yeah, I guess it's kind of, it's good and bad. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to it. So
I just want to say, if Alfie Days want to collab with me, that'd be great. I'm down.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think in the next 12 months, I see that happening. I think we're going to see that happening more and more, just because, I mean, let's be brutally honest. If you see every white YouTube's channel at the moment, they're not getting as many views as they did last year or the year before. And
the shade.
Yeah, no, they're not, because their growth is plateauing, and I think they're going to try to access new markets. And there's nothing wrong with, like, obviously trying to grow as a YouTuber. That's your job. But I think we will see that more and more in the next year.
Like, I know this is kind of different, but like, in terms of like, this is completely separate, but I think it's affecting my growth a bit as well. Like the evolution of like grime in the UK as well. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm associated to quite a few artists in the grime scene. Some of them have appeared in videos, and I've appeared in some of theirs. And I think like grime music as itself, it was like, it came from like black culture especially, and it's becoming more accepted in the UK. And I think that's giving me an opportunity to get out there more as well. So like, I'm like I said, like I'm from South London. I speak kind of differently, and yeah, I do. I speak differently. Yeah, like I speak like some of these musicians, and I know some of these musicians. So it's like, I feel like that's kind of opening the doors for people like me and people from different backgrounds as well, because people are listening to the music. They're seeing me put the music in the videos. Oh, I like that music too. Let's see what we can do, you know. And I feel like that's kind of happening.
Yeah, I think your question's hard to answer, because it's hard to know when someone just wants to collaborate with you because of your race, because they'll never really tell you in it, and like. But I think I have found it.
By the way,
I mean, you find it more with like brands and stuff like that, and like companies more than anything than you would with specific creators. Is the X at the back mean we've almost finished, or?
Oh.
Can we take one more question after this?
Oh yeah, so I'll cut myself off. I'm done. Cool.
Should we do one question?
Yeah, one more.
Let's do one final question. We got.
Lucy's over there.
Yeah, Lucy.
Let's give Lucy the question.
You can't favorite your friend.
No.
Right?
Okay,
so
no, guys. Afterwards, if you see us around, feel free to ask us any of the questions you want to ask us. Like, we'll be around.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Yay. What was I going to ask? Oh yeah. To like round it off, Could you each recommend another non-white channel that you think is like the tits?
Yo, Victor Pope Jr. on
shout
everything.
out.
It's literally the funniest. Like this is like no. I'm not even like gassing this dude up. Funniest person on the internet. Funniest person I've ever met. And I know he's gonna be one of the greatest comedians in like the next 10 years. Victor Pope Jr. on like everything: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Nathan Zed.
Stop.
Nah, he's on the panel. You got it.
But, I'd say Swoozy. Madande, Swoozy. Yeah, Swoozy's pretty cool, man.
I don't know. Skip me.
Should we say Skipper?
Yeah.
I want to recommend some of my. I think I'd recommend a lot of like the makeup girls. They're some of my friends, so I really like not makeup girls. I mean beauty bloggers. There's a girl called Fusion of Cultures. Layla, you should check out her channel. Patricia Bright, I really like her channel as well. Those are probably the two that I recommend. Yeah.
I've got one now.
Not to saying that I watch them for beauty tips and stuff. I just really like.
Are you sure?
I watch the skin cleansing ones, but yeah, I really like. I like them as people, and I really like the. I think it's just inspiring to see young women taking ownership of their brand and really controlling and growing themselves. Yeah, so I think those are the two I'd recommend.
There's a Palestinian American YouTuber called Sobhi Taha.
Yes.
He's really good.
Love him.
He's really creative. His
fan.
videos are amazing. He's got a great personality, so check him out.
Sorry, I forgot one more. David and Adana. Like, I literally met them the other day, and they're so lovely, and I've watched the content on their channel, and I love it. So
Scholar.
David and Adana as well. So yeah.
Scholar?
Oh gosh, there are quite a few. I have quite a few friends. There's one called Lizzie Loves. She does beauty and stuff like that. There's Sincerely Osa. She talks about a lot of like really hard-hitting topics that I think are really cool. And everyone on this panel as well, obviously, go check them out. And I can't think of any other ones.
I'm gonna go with Sam, Super Sam stuff.
Sam.
Yes. I'm also gonna this person has like 100 subscribers. Quality of the content is amazing. So like if everyone subscribes, it's gonna be amazing. But Olive Oaks, I recommend her as well. So that's the end of that. Good.
Yeah.